and it's only been on for about 30 seconds and it already went up like 3 degrees in here. So that was pretty quick. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Laura and I am building out this 2013 Nissan NV into a conversion van. And today I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing for my heating system because it's starting to get cold out. Now, there are several different options for what to do when it comes to a heater, and I did quite a bit of research on this, and I went back and forth a few times on what I wanted to use for the van. But yesterday, we stumbled across a deal that we could not pass up. We ended up finding one of these Mr. Heater portable buddy heaters for $30 at Walmart. The reason it was so cheap is because it was an open box. We ended up getting $60 off of this thing, and it's never been used before. They're originally $90, and I was still considering buying one for that price. Now, the reason we chose this is because there's not much of an install, meaning I don't have to cut a giant hole in the floor to install a gas heater. I can use these 1-pound propane tanks, and this size heater will also work with a 20-pound propane tank if I decide to get a bigger one in the future. This heater should last on low for 5.5 hours with one of these 1-pound tanks. So if I need to, I can change a tank out in the middle of the night, but I don't plan on needing to have it on all night long. I figure I can turn it on before I go to sleep, heat up the van, and then turn it off. And if I need to, I can turn it on in the middle of the night again. Now, my boyfriend Arlen and I are out on my property in West Virginia, and it's going to get pretty cold tonight. The forecast is saying it's going to get down to 34, so I'm very excited to put this heater to the test. Okay, so it is 47 degrees in here right now, and the last I checked it was actually 42 degrees outside. So it is a little bit warmer in the van right now than it is outside, but it's definitely getting colder and colder. It is 9:40 at 47 degrees, so we're going to see how long it takes for this to heat the van up a little bit. And it's only been on for about 30 seconds and it already went up like 3 degrees in here. So that was pretty quick. All right, guys, so it's been about 45 minutes and it is currently 65 degrees in here. So it was 47 when we first turned it on. So it went up almost 20 degrees and it feels great in here. The only thing is I do notice a little bit of a gas smell, so I do think that we are going to get a carbon monoxide reader just to make sure we're not breathing in anything that's going to kill us overnight. And with this running for about 45 minutes, my floor does not feel too hot. It is a little bit warm here, but it does not feel overheated. So I'm really not worried about any flames or anything catching on fire. I know that that could be a potential risk with these. All right, and it just went up again, so it is still getting warmer in here. So it's been running on low for about 45 minutes, and it is still increasingly getting warmer in here. We are gonna turn it off to go to sleep. 66 degrees is warm enough. We'll see how long it takes for it to cool down again, and then in the morning kick it back on, see how long it takes to warm up the van. All right, guys, so Arlen is out hunting turkey right now, so I have to keep it down a little bit. But we've used the heater for 2 nights and 2 mornings now, so I wanted to give a little bit of a recap. So as I mentioned, I do smell a little bit of gas when I turn the heater on. We do kind of get used to it. We'll definitely be getting a CO2 detector just to make sure that we're not poisoning ourselves in the van. So it only took about 30 to 45 minutes for it to raise the temperature in the van about 20 degrees. So this is great. It heats it up really quickly and it does get really warm in here. Currently, the temperature outside is about 40 degrees and it is 70 degrees inside of this van. I actually turned the heater off because I started to get a little warm. And last night, we only had about an hour left of fuel in one of the tanks, so we decided just to let it run while we went to sleep. And Arlen ended up getting extremely hot that he was sweating, so we've decided that we don't need to keep it on when we're sleeping at all. We'll turn it on for a little bit before we go to bed, and we actually have started using sleeping bags as well underneath of that comforter, so we really don't have problems staying warm while we're asleep. The air does get a little cold, but if you just throw a blanket over your head, you stay pretty warm. So we've realized it's great for heating up the van in the evening and before bed, and then first thing in the morning we'll jump out, turn the heater on just for a few minutes, and then the rest of the van is quite a bit warmer, so we feel better about getting up and getting ready for the day. Now, even though I do smell the propane, this is rated for indoor use. It does say not to use in a bathroom, but bedrooms are fine, and with the square footage of this van, I think it's going to be totally fine as long as we get that CO2 detector. I also want to mention that we did not go through these 1-pound tanks as quickly as we thought. We've been able to get 2 days out of 1 tank, and this is because we only run it for a little bit in the evening and then a little bit in the morning. Now, obviously, if you're running it all day, you're going to go through the tanks a lot quicker. But it's been warming up here during the day, so we definitely don't need it after the sun comes up and warms things up a little bit. So we are actually pretty happy with how long these tanks are lasting. It says that if you use it on low, it should last for about 5.5 hours, and we certainly don't need to use this on high. We didn't even attempt to use it on high because low was certainly enough to heat up this van pretty quickly. Now, we have decided that it will be beneficial for us to get a larger 20-pound tank to keep in the van, especially because we want to use it for the stovetop. Currently, we've just been using this thing on top of those little propane butane tanks, and it's getting really annoying. It's hard to balance stuff on this sometimes, and I'm ready for a better stove. But since the heater runs on propane, we decided that it would make sense to just get a larger tank that we will build an enclosure for, and then we'll use the propane stove as well as the heater. Alright guys, that's really all I can think of to go over with this heater. If you have any other questions for me on the Mr. Buddy heater, leave it for me in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. And I do want to mention that we did in fact just get the solar panels in, so stay tuned because that's going to be coming up in one of our next videos. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.